coca.
Fuck
coca. Yeah.
Oh.
Fucking fuck coca.
Are you performing that on Sunday? Yeah, no. Fucking awesome.
Lots of new music and new musical genres come out of kids playing with things that they have, growing up, records being at home, and just scratch them, play with them, see what happens.
Hip-hop, the kind of, hacking a corporate product, turntable, Game Boy, whatever.
Hip-hop came out that way. I think punk music came out that way.
Let's not kid ourselves. I'm probably the oldest person in this group, and I was very involved in the punk scene back in the day. This definitely had a punk edge to it.
I mean, the energy, the simplicity.
The sound flies in the face of convention.
The DIY aspect.
Punk was like, okay, let's strip this down, let's strip away everything and just get down to rock and roll. And I think that chip music is sort of like that for electronic music. Around the time when you saw this new generation of chip musicians, one of the movements in electronic music that was pretty prevalent was IDM and, Aphex Twin, the Reflex label. And, okay, we have this increasingly complex electronic music and maybe we're going too far. What if we just strip it down to the bare essentials and get down to, knowing your hardware and doing as much as you can with as little as you can. Obviously, if you spend enough time with a piece of hardware, you can make it do more than it's supposed to.
To me, punk rock and hip hop is, people trying to escape the realities of their culture. The punks were, working class kids trying to transcend their existence and realizing, everything you're forcing down my throat, I could never be, I can't be the Bay City Rollers. For a lot of people, I don't believe this personally, but is a nostalgic hype, of like, oh, I'm reliving my childhood and stuff like that. But it's like, you're still like seeking out the ideal of what you want your life to be. If you're reliving your childhood, is it because you're unhappy with your adulthood, If you're embracing this sound, is it because you're rejecting something else?
The more advanced the hardware becomes, the less distinct the sound becomes. To listen to music purely on a Game Boy or to hear that sound in like really simple blippy drum table drums and stuff, hearing chip music is, sometimes frightening.
That fucking Game Boy out here! Thank you. New fucking York.
All through history, I think people hear a different kind of a sound, and they don't want to call it music. They want to call it noise. Probably like the older generation was like that when rap music first came around. They're like, that's not music, that's noise. And heavy metal and all that kind of stuff. There's music. This is all music. But you need to sort of have some kind of prior exposure to it before you can realize that. And you know, if you grew up with video games, there's the exposure right there. If you've ever played a video game, you recognize that as music. Music that can move you emotionally, music that cues you to know if you're sad or if you're like on a fun level, if you're about to fight a boss, or if you're like on a quest.
None. I had not, honestly, had never touched a Game Boy before Nano Loop. But, you know, having said that, I think anybody using 8-bit technology is going to evoke those feelings, whether it's intentional or not.
People have that association with, you know, their childhood and, you know, maybe more carefree days with video games and video game music. So when they hear those same sounds, that it still evokes that sort of response from them. It's almost hard to not be nostalgic about it in some ways.
Yeah, I guess just all the classic NES stuff. I mean, inspirationally specific games for us, I would say probably Journey to Silius has a sweet soundtrack. Boy and His Blob.
Mega
Clax,
Man.
Mega Man.
Castlevania.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt has quite the video game collection, so do I. He likes the older stuff, I like the newer stuff, and many hours of our lives we spent together playing video games. Everyone else was out on dates, but you know,
we were just out being cool.
You have to be careful not to let the nostalgia become too much of a prime factor in the music, because then you risk sort of retreading ground that's already been covered. I would like to think that chip music is more about pushing forward into the future than being attached to the past.
A lot of people dismiss it entirely because it's just the novelty of the nostalgia for video games.
Is it a novelty, or is it something I truly like, you know? Is it like the people who listen to like barbershop records, like, oh, this is stupid, it's so cool, you know? Or is it like, this shit fucking blows my head open, you know, kind of stuff? And at its best, chip music does do that for me.
Yeah.